Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. For today's midweek meta deck, we are playing Neil Henly's Takoma 5k winning Jeskai Stoneblade deck. I've not really played Stoneblade on the channel, I don't think, so this is a new one. I've played it a tiny bit in paper, like just once or twice borrowing somebody's deck, so I'm far from an expert, but we got a lot of things I'm used to in here, so let's see how we fare. This is a deck that's primarily a control deck, so we've got Force of Wills, Force of Negation, Source of Plowshares, and Prismatic Ending to sort of control the board, along with Narset to stop our opponent from being able to draw multiple cards and pull ahead. We've got Teferi, which can just stop a lot of cards from our opponent from being able to be used, like counter spells and things like that. Jace the Mind Sculptor, which is a win condition that has a little bit of board control, and the Wandering Emperor, which is a removal spell that also is a win condition. So, pretty good. Our Stoneforge Mystic is going to be trying to win us the game by pulling out Kaldra Compleat and Batterskull, which are things that we can realistically hardcast because the games are going to go quite long. We also have 3 Forth Eorlingas, which is just such a powerful card. It's good early when you just make one guy and protect it and get the Monarch, and it's good late where it just becomes a massive fireball. So, a pretty potent one here. We've got the things you would expect in the form of Brainstorms and Ponders, and we've got a few little interesting slots here. So, we've got one Snapcaster Mage, so we can buy back all of our wonderful spells. Couple of dress downs so we can try and beat Urza's Saga, which can often give control decks a bit of problems. And we have a back to basics just to shut the door on some of these decks with greedy mana bases. And if you watch my channel, you know how much I hate losing to the 5-color Yorion deck. So hopefully we can get some back to basics right in their business and ruin their day. Mana base wise, bunch of fetch lands, including Prismatic Vistas because we're trying to play on mostly basics. We have 1 Plateau, 1 Tundra, 1 Volk. So we have one of all the jewels that make up our colours, but the rest of the time we're just trying to play on basics. We've got 4 islands, 1 mountain, and 2 plains. So we're going to try and fetch basics where possible and see how we go. Sideboard-wise, we just got a lot of tools here for different jobs. So we've got a bit of graveyard hate, we've got some counter spells for storm decks, or decks that are trying to play non-creature spells early on, like instant sorceries like the reanimated decks and things. We've got some red blasts to try and beat sort of blue matchups. Got hate bears in the form of Lavinia and Containment Priest. Got Stony Silence to try and shut the door on some of these artifact-centric decks. A bit more graveyard hate. A sweeper for when we need to smash creatures. Got Hydro Blast. We've got Meltdown. So basically just all the tools you would expect, really. Nothing out of the ordinary, I would say here. Maybe Lavinia is probably the most unusual thing here. So if you're not familiar with this one, it's a 2-mana 2/2. Each opponent can't cast non-creature spells with mana value greater than the number of lands that player controls. So that can really stump some of the combo decks that are trying to push above the amount of lands they have using things like Dark Ritual, Rite of Flame, whatever, or High Tide decks trying to cast 6 drops. And it also says whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. It's obviously backbreaking against like Saga Storm style decks that are trying to spam out a load of 0 drops. Alright, so that's the deck. We're control-y, but we do have a way of trying to close the game a little bit earlier with our Stoneforge, but for the most part we're going to be drawing the game out and leveraging our superior tools in our Planeswalkers. And obviously Forth Eorlingas can really just allow you to actually win the game, which is what Jeskai decks used to struggle with a bit, was actually turning the corner to win the game. And they run out of time, whereas this should help us out quite a bit. So, before we jump in, remember to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And why not join my Discord or get in touch for a donation deck? Alternatively, how about my Patreon? Send me a couple of quid a month to say thanks for making videos. That would make me very happy. Or if you want all my extra content, like my articles and my primer for Green Black Turbo Depths, there's something for that on Patreon as well. But let's just sit back and enjoy some Legacy. If you're looking to play Legacy on MTGO like me, why not try Card Hoarder? They're a rental service that I personally use, and I found them better than other rental services that I've used in the past. So why not give them a try? Right, our hand is keepable here. There's been an update to Magic Online, so I need to just quickly fix my stops here. Alright, so what do we want here? I think we just start out with a Flooded Strand, keep it mysterious, and we'll pass a 10. So I'm a bit thrown off by the Magic update that's changed where all your stops are. But having less stops isn't a bad thing when you're playing a slow grindy deck, so maybe I'll do a bit better because of it. But I'm probably going to pass you something at some point. Okay, so we have a Watery Grave from our opponent. This is indicating to us that they're playing Death Shadow, which is one of the premier decks about now, but it's quite bad against white removal as a general rule, because if you source Plowshares a Death Shadow, it'll always put them up to a life total that will kill any other Death Shadows in play because of how Death Shadow works. So they can only ever play one out at a time, which slows them down, but we can also Prismatic Ending it for a single mana as well. A Thoughtseize. So our hand probably going to lose either the Teferi or the Stoneforge, I would say here. Yep, it's the Stoneforge, sure. That's fine. Okay, so we don't need to play anything else out here, so we just have another Flooded Strand. This is a matchup where back to basics will shut the door on them. They tend to have one basic at most. Troll of Khazad-dûm. Watery Grave. And there's the Watery Grave. And our opponent's not following it up with anything. Interesting. If we play this Narset, it's almost certainly going to get counterspelled here. Do I think we need to play it now, or we can wait a turn and play it around days? Our opponent's not threatening us right now. They're probably going to play Orcish Bowmasters. No, they didn't even play the Bowmaster with 2 mana up. Okay. We're doing fine here. But in theory, we should have the inevitability on our side in this matchup because of the nature of our deck. But our opponent has done more sculpting with Ponders and Brainstorm than us, which is usually a good way to determine who's winning in a blue mirror, who's got the most cantrips in their graveyard. Always true, but certainly is a factor because it means that whatever card's in their hand, they're probably going to be better than the ones in the person who's got less cantrips. There's a Wasteland, that's not going to be relevant this game. We can play this game on basics. Is this just going to be a little baby Murktide? It is, sure. Let's go and get some islands. Basic island. Let's go and get another basic island. Let's play... This can get our mountain if we want a basic mountain. So I think we probably just play this one out. And we can jam this Teferi. Our opponent's probably going to have some interaction. We can pay for a daze. There's a Force of Will pitching a daze. So how important is this Teferi for us? I think it is going to be quite important because our opponent doesn't really have a lot of pressure. And we get to cantrip and get rid of their Murktide region here. They could have another Force of Will blue card here. That would be unfortunate. But they can't have a daze because we can pay. Oh, they do have another Force of Will blue card. Pitching a Spell Pierce. Alright. Our opponent did not want that to happen. Okay. So our opponent's now hellbent with just a... I say just a 6/6, but there's a 3-turn clock in play. So we need to find a source to Plowshares. And that should do the job here. A Teferi can bounce it. A Wandering Emperor can deal with it too. Plateau, not a massive fan of this one. I think we'll play out the Vista here. If we draw a Brainstorm, I'd rather shuffle this Plateau back in. So we've got one more turn to find an answer here. We need to find a cantrip to find it, or just the answer itself would be fine too. There's another Murktide that will grow the first one and make us take more damage. Alright, so now a Source of Plowshares is not going to be enough because we're going to take 8 here and we got 5 coming in the next turn. So we need to Brainstorm into multiple removal spells here. Swords to Plowshares, that's half of the problem solved, but we can't do anything about the other guy. Pretty good draws after we got our opponent hellbent there, but like I said, they had more cantrips than we did, and they got to sculpt their game. So, let's move this up here. What is going to be useful in this matchup? Pyroblasts are pretty reasonable here. The Supreme Verdict is just nice because we are the control deck in this matchup. So, we need to find 3 things to stick in here. Are we wanting to play a Force of Will game against a deck that's trying to... I guess we have Pyroblast and they don't, which does make our Force of Wills more interesting. Our opponent isn't a Force of Will deck, isn't a Pyroblast deck themselves, so we definitely have some more use here. The Prismatic Endings are okay, not incredible, but okay. Dress Down is not really at its best in this matchup. We can use it to maybe bypass an Orcish Bowmasters for 1 turn, or a Grief, which is okay. I don't think we need these Force of Negations. So those can go. We got the Pyroblast instead. And I think we need to cut 1 more card here. Interesting choices here. We could remove one of our cantrips in case we're worried about Bowmasters. I don't think we need to be that worried by it. Jace is good here. Just sort of pulls the game away. Maybe we're looking at trimming one of our Forth Eorlingas. Eorlingas. Possibly. Although this is the thing that if we can get it down and get it to do its thing, it's just going to completely take over the game. We could always approach this in a different way with some... no, actually no, I'm happy with how we're approaching this. We just need to find one more cut. Maybe it's just a cantrip, as annoying as that sounds. It's just cantrips into Bowmasters can be a bit of a pain, and we're replacing that with a business spell. Or it could be one of the Stoneforges, and just play slightly more control-y. That seems fine. Alright. Island Ponder, and we've got the Back to Basics, which is a very potent tool in this matchup. So we're looking for more land from our Ponder. We have 2 Ponders, so it seems likely we're going to be able to find one off of 8 cards plus our draw step. And we've got a bit of removal. We've got Teferi, which is really nice in the game as well. Lots of must deal with threats. Or permanents, I should say. It basically isn't really a threat, but it's... Alright, I like these cards. The Wandering Emperor is definitely a thing for later, I would say here. And put that on top. Let's just secure our mana base here. So put this on top. Put the island on top. And draw. Just please a dodge from our opponents. No play. Interesting. So now we have this. Do we want this Wandering Emperor on top of our library? Tough to say. It's definitely going to be potent later on. I think we're going to draw the Wandering Emperor and then just start haymakering big things into play, like Back to Basics and Teferi, and just see if that gets our opponent dead. So we're going to draw this Wanderer. Let's go and get ourselves a basic Plains here. This feels like a better slot for something like a Teferi right now. This is kind of the bait spell. If we can get the Back to Basics down, it's going to do more work, I would imagine. We're going to have a Orcish Bowmasters coming into play this turn. That would not surprise me. A Brainstorm in response. Okay, that's good news for us. Why did our opponent keep their hand is the question I have. It's not very aggressive. No discard. No way of putting early creatures in. No cantrips being used early on. Like, this is turn 3 or turn 2 Brainstorm, I suppose. But no grief, no reanimate shenanigans, Brazen Borrow. Sure. So we got the 2-for-1 like we wanted. Now we move on with our lives and try and draw a land. Be good here. We just want to try and get our Back to Basics online and jam our opponent right up. And then we can worry about winning the game. Alright. Paying 2 for this. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to cast anything with it. It might just be a case of wanting to get a life total low. Okay, so we're going to lose our Back to Basics, I suspect here. Yep, we took the Back to Basics. Right, over to us. Pyro Blast. Let's begin with a Ponder. An Orcish Bowmasters. Sure. We're going to take 1 from this Ponder. But I think it's worth casting because we need to improve our situation. I like the Plow here. And then we can Plow and Brainstorm. Brainstorm seems a bit awkward given this lock here. Do we want to just try and shuffle up and get some more land? That's kind of what we're looking for. I think we probably want the land here. Right, we did not find a land. We do have an answer for Orcish Bowmasters though. I think it's more important to get the Bowmaster off the board than the Orc Army for now. So we could do with another mana source. That could turn on our Wandering Emperor potentially. Does our opponent have another Orcish Bowmasters? Because this becomes more of a problem. But what are we doing if we don't cast this Brainstorm? Because we really need to make our land drop here. We'll take 3 pings, but then we can end the... Oh dear. I don't like it, but I think we're going to have to Brainstorm here. Alright, we got away with it. That's fine. So this could go and get us a red source, but not right now. Or we can go and get ourselves a white source for the Wandering Emperor, or we could try and get both. Interesting. I think we are going to bury the Brainstorm and the island here. And then we'll play this out. This gives us options if we need them. Are we ending this Orc Army token? Is that good enough target for ending? Not really convinced it is. I'm going to pass. So we've got an island on top if we want it. But we can always shuffle it away first. So we'll take our 2 here. Using our life total as a resource here. Do I want the island on top of our library? Means we can do big Forth Eorlingas stuff. So I think we'll take it. And we have a Brainstorm on top of that. The problem is if we play Forth Eorlingas, we're going to lose our land to their wasteland. But we could always just go and get a white source and try and chuck this Wandering Emperor into our opponent's face and see if that does anything. They did not Play the Orc Army. That suggests to me they don't have a removal spell for our Wandering Emperor. Is this a bait? We'll just get the basic planes here. Like if they had a way of stopping our Wandering Emperor, they would have attacked there. Unless they only have a sorcery speedway, but then it's already gone past that, so... Unless they just baited us in by not attacking with the Orc Army token. A daze. I will pay for this daze. I've got another daze. If they do, that's a 2-for-1. Sure. Not perfect, but we'll take it. A red source would be pretty good here. Did not draw the red source, but we've got a plow and ending. Now we have a plow. I'm kind of tempted to end this Orc Army. Just get rid of that while we can. Not being able to have a mountain in play is really jamming up our hand here. Right, oh, another watery... Well, that's the previous watery grave we knew about. Because the one they bounced... Alright. A Brainstorm. We have a plow if they have the Bowmasters. Alright, they did not. Okay, so now we have the Prismatic Vista as well. So we're in pretty good spot here. So... What do we want to do here? Our opponent's got 3 cards in hand. I think we'll put back... Brainstorm and Ponder. So we can play this out. This gives us access to a mountain if we need it. But we're just going to wait and draw that Ponder. We've got lots of time. Our deck's good with time. We're kind of hoping to try and get a red source to fire off our Pyroblast here. But we only have the 1 mountain. What's this going to be? They're going for a Murktide here. That's a very good target for us to Pyroblast. Do I want this Ponder on top, or do I just want to rattle off this Forth Eorlingas? I think we want to do that next turn. So we're going to go and get ourselves a basic mountain. And I think we're going to cast on this, because Death Shadow is obviously a black spell. So we're going to get hit by the Pyroblast. Opponent's got 2 cards in hand. Narset Pyro Veils. Do we want to chuck this out first, or do we just want to get our engine up and running? We go 1, 2, 3, 4... And this allows us to play around days. We don't need to go hard on this. Okay, so now we've got a clock, a dismember. Another dismember? Sure. Well, we have a plow and a Narset to reload with. So, right, our opponent's got nothing over there. So we draw. Another plow. We go blue, blue. 1, leave open 1 of all of our colours. Let's go for a Narset. They can hard cast a Force of Will here, if they have one. Alright, they're scooping to the Narset. They value their time. That's fair enough. So, that'll work pretty well. Do you want to try and squeeze in this Red Blast that we have here to go alongside our Pyroblasts? For when things go wrong. Didn't see the Griefs. Kind of tempted to trim a dress down for another blast. We just want to be able to answer the Murktide. Sure, let's try that. This hand is interesting. We can force through a Narset if that's going to be good. I think we will keep this. We have the Brainstorm to fix. Alright, I like this island. Play this out. I don't think we're going to need a Pyroblast for right now, but we're more likely to need a Brainstorm to hide our hand from a discard effect. Alright, so there's their 1 basic. They've seen the back to basics in our deck now. So there's a Troll. Watery Grave, taking some damage. And no play. So our opponent is representing a Bowmasters over there. There is our Pyroblast. We're just going to wait here. Alright, they didn't fire off the Bowmasters. We don't need to Brainstorm right now. We're hitting land drops and that's what matters. Oh, they got a 2nd basic. That's interesting. A Thought Seize. That's interesting. Go for a Brainstorm. They're going to flash in a Bowmasters now. They are. We will cast this, pitching the Force of Will. And we've got a Red Blast if they've got a counterspell. A real stack going up here. Let's get this mountain. Right, so no Bowmasters. Now we get to Brainstorm and hide the goodies. What do we want here? We want to cast our Narset next turn. And so one of our spells has to go if we're doing this. So we could bury the Snapcaster and then the Narset and let them take a Brainstorm. So we know there's a Snapcaster down, which is a card I would actually like. So I think we go... We play the Tundra here. And then deploy the Narset. They don't have a daze because they would have used it last turn. We're not going to activate the Narset now. Our opponent shouldn't be able to remove this. We're going to draw the Snapcaster and then we're going to minus the Narset. We're quite far ahead here. So now we draw our little Snappy. Let's have a little look with our Narset. I will take a plow. And probably need to get a white source off of our Prismatic Vista. And blue source off our Strand. Alright. So now we just kind of hang out for a little bit. We get to draw another extra card with our Narset. And we're going to be just ahead of our opponent's resources for quite some time. There is a Death Shadow. Let's have a look. No hits. Disgusting. So we could just drop a Batterskull here and just have a tasty threat. Or we could plow this and have Snapcaster still up. That's probably the safer play. Because keeping our Narset in play is really important. Just shuts off all their cantrips. So let's plow the Shadow. They know we had that plow because we revealed it to the Narset earlier. Well, what they might not know is that we have another plow. And we're going to do a Brainstorm here. Let's crack this. Get ourselves Basic Island. Cast this Brainstorm. Now do they have another Bowmasters? It would be awkward, but I think they might have played one out before then. Alright, so we want the back to basics, and we want... which order do we want them, to be fair? I think we go... I just want to deploy the Batterskull here and get this game won. Sure. You can Thoughtseize away. They probably don't care that much about the life loss here because, you know, they want to get a lower life total. Sure. One card in our opponent's hand. So let's play this out. Let's drop the Batterskull. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Opponent's got one card in hand. So Force of Will is off the cards. A daze. So we're going to have to shuffle away our back to basics here. They also get to pick up a watery grave here, which is useful for them. We'll go and get this plains. Tap, and we'll pay for the days. Yeah. So now our opponent can play their watery grave and pump their shadow. So it could trade with our Batterskull if they want to. That doesn't seem like a great play to me. Prismatic Ending, sure. Just say no to this. Let me bash for 6. Alright. We can keep this one card in hand because we're representing Force of Will here as well. I don't think it's going to affect the way our opponent plays the game, but... Tap little creatures. Is that enough? Or you got something? Hardcast Dismember will save them alive. Save them a turn because they can pay 3 for it. A Petty Theft on our gem token, sure. I'll keep this in hand in case we draw a Brainstorm. I think we will... I don't think we need to equip now. Although it's certainly mana efficient for us, isn't it? Is it worth pretending we have a Force of Will? I guess we keep both cards in hand and we represent Force of Will blue card. Because we kept open 5 mana for Force of Will last turn. So maybe they'll think that and play around it. Orcish Bowmasters. So we're going to lose our Narset now. So that unlocks our opponent's cantrips. But we have a large creature in play. Let's go to attacks. One of their guys has to go under the bus. I don't think we need to cast this Ponder right now. Although, what is the worst thing that happens if we do cast a Ponder? They ping us for 1? No, that's fine. I think if we did want to cast a Ponder, we want to cast it first step because they're going to lose their 2/2 then, instead of them being left with another chump blocker. I think this line's fine. Right, so this is a troll cycle. They can't get any reanimate stuff online here because their life total is 1. So reanimate, not a great spell for them to cast. The Brazen Borrower cannot block Snapcaster Mage, so the Orcish Bowmaster is going to have to go to the bus and unlock our Ponder. Opponent's got 1 card in hand. We could just go for the win right now. Let's try that. Well, this isn't actually the win right now, is it? Because they get to replay their Bowmasters. Sure, so we get our big chunk of life there. And now we will do a Brainstorm. And we'll put back these 2 lands. Or do we put back Land Ponder? If we put back Land Ponder here, then we can play this out. Just another island is probably fine here. Play out a Teferi, so white, blue, blue. Yeah, I think this game could have been tighter from our perspective a little bit, but we are just outclassing our opponent in the matchup quite effectively here. So they're going to play their Borrower. So we can bounce this, or we can just draw a card without doing any of that. It depends if we want our Jace alive or not. So we bounce this, but then they have another turn. I think we just plus this. We are going to lose our Jace here, so we just spent 4 mana for a Brainstorm there. that we didn't really need to do. We were kind of hoping to draw into some removal, but this is a case of having diamond shoes that are too tight. Like, we could have made a multitude of errors and still win that game just because the configuration of our deck outclasses our opponent. This is the sort of matchup that you want, because we have similar tools but better removal and more card advantage engines. So as the game goes longer, we're just going to get them. They have to win the game early, really. All right, let's go to round 2. We are 1-0. So we have Island Ponder, we've got some removal, we've got some more cantrips. This hand seems fine to me. I do want to get a basic island off with our Flooded Strand. I would like something better than this Plateau to work with. An exploration, okay. So our opponent is telling us they're playing some sort of lands strategy. We have a dress down to cover the saga when the time comes, which is good. I think we are just getting the island and pondering here. Do I want a Force of Will? Not particularly. I don't mind the Prismatic Ending. I don't mind a Plow, potentially. The Plow is something that can answer the Marit Lage. But if we do this, we've got to draw another one of these cards. I think we just go any order and shuffle. We're just looking for lands at the end of the day. Right, there's a Force of Will. So, there's a Saga. Let's hope they don't play a Wasteland this turn. That would be annoying. No Wasteland. Elvish Reclaimer, sure. Right, there's a Plateau. Let's pass the turn. Right, so they're making a construct. They're going to spend some time making another construct. They're copying their Saga. It's annoying. We're just going to be Dark Depths. I feel this is a game where we're going to die with lots of cards in hand. It's going to be sad. Another Urza Saga. Okay. That's the option we're going for, is it? Many of these guys. This is going to be very good against us just in general. We do have a dress down, but that's only going to go so far. Expedition map, that can be the thing that finds... Okay, so I have a Wasteland as well. Yuck. What are we supposed to do with this? We can play a dress down now just to kill this one guy, but that doesn't feel strong. I think we have to Brainstorm end step into a land. Our deck's supposed to be good against Wasteland because we don't play them. So we do this because then we can ponder next turn if we don't hit anything we want. Force of Will is not really going to help us here. I do like the lands. We'll put a ponder on top so we can draw that. We need a white source, but our opponent's a very Wasteland-centric deck. We could always ponder to try and find a source and then decide if we're going to crack this. So I think that's probably the play here. We also do know one of the cards on top of our library, but we don't know what the other two are. This is going to be a tougher matchup, I suspect. We've definitely got useful tools. Like Back to Basics can do a lot of work. Meltdown can sweep a decent chunk of things up. Force of Negation can answer Life from the Loam. Alright, so we found the white source we wanted. Okay. We also found a second dress down, which is Basic Plains. Elvish Reclaimer, I think, here. I think we should have Force of Will the Elvish Reclaimer, because our Force of Will wasn't getting much better from that point onwards. We're getting too greedy. We can't get rid of the Expedition map there because they can crack in response, so now they go and get Dark Depths here. And then they have a multitude of ways of trying to kill us. Oh, Yavimaya. Okay, that's good. That's going to make it so their Ancient Tombs can tap without hurting them if they want. Sure. They're making a construct. Take 2 here. Opponent's not making it easy for us, but that is kind of their job. Yes, please. Back to basics. Put this on top. Put this on top. Put this on top. Shuffle library, no. We don't really want the other cards too much. The Plow, possibly, but I think we're just going to play out this Scalding Tarn right now and go for this here. Like, if their opponent has a crop rotation, we can Force Negation now. I don't really want to, but it's a thing we're allowed to do. So, in response to this, we need to go and fetch with our lands. They can't get us. We can always tap it for green, but that's not really very helpful for us. Do you want to get a mountain here for Forth Eorlingas? I don't hate that, to be honest. We're going to need that at some point. We already have another blue source. Yeah, we get the mountain here. We're going to have to take a big hit here and then try and recoup. We now need to think about if we want a Force of Negation. Pitching the dress. We can't pitch the dress down. Oh, jeez. I think we just have to let them have this. This is awful. This whole game's fallen apart for us. But we're trying to leverage our life total as a resource here. A Ghost Quarter. So they can take out our mountain or our plains here if they want to. Shadow Spear, sure. So we take 9 this turn, but we have the other guys covered from there. Maybe this is a very greedy line we've taken. A Stoneforge, I don't think we want that. So we play this, I don't know. We want to get rid of this Shadow Spear, I believe. This does kind of telegraph what we're doing. Let's see what they do with their Azure Saga. They might copy it into something else. I suspect that's what's going to happen here. They're just making another construct to try and win the game. Alright. So removing the Shadow Spear kind of could be like, oh, they're trying to dress down us. Or it could be, oh, they're trying to chump block with a bunch of stuff. But what could we chump block with the mana we have? Alright, so they're getting themselves a copy of this. And then we get to back to basics this and shut this engine down in a second. So I think we're in an okay-ish spot. We took an extra hit of damage, but I think we were right to do that. Pithing Needle, what is this going to name? Interesting. Narset, sure. That's a fair name. Say goodbye to all your friends. Alright. I think I like how I've played this one, actually, in the last few turns at least. Because now we've got our opponent in a position where we get to back to basics and just slam the door. Now, our opponent still has a bunch of cards in hand. But we can go back to basics plus Stoneforge Mystic here. And then we can represent a kill very quickly. Whilst our opponent's kind of not doing much. Hopefully not doing much anyway. Yes, tap all your lands. Tap them all. Keep tapping all your lands, please. Sphere of Resistance. Yeah, all your lands are going to be tapped, so I'm happy for this. This suits our game plan, in fact. Alright, so we've also got a win condition here. 1, 2, 3. And next turn we can just do a big Forth Eorlingas and jam our opponent up. I say big, it's not going to be that big. It's going to be for 2 tokens unless we draw a land. What we do is want another white source here. Alright, we've got a win condition, we've got the Monarch. Our opponent's lands don't untap. Our opponent... Alright, yeah. I still think we were possibly wrong to not counterspell that Elvish Acclaimer. Our opponent did help us out by going in with this, but if they copied one of our basics, they'd have been in a better spot. Alright, let's go to sideboard him. Rest in Peace certainly has some useful text in here. I think Meltdown is also useful. Lavinia doesn't really help us out here. The Surgicals are very nice too. It's kind of one or the other, isn't it? But I guess we can always shuffle them away. Do you want Stony Silence to turn off Mox Opals? That is an option. I don't really like Force of Will in this matchup though. Force of Negation I like because we get to hit the Life from the Loam. So I think we just run it back like this with the extra things in. Maybe we want a Supreme Verdict in here as well, just for if they make a lot of constructs and we don't have a dress down, at least we have another way of clearing them. I guess we have the Meltdown for that. Maybe we're going too deep into looking for answers. Maybe we don't want Snapcaster if we're boarding in these the Rest in Peace. That's only one card, isn't it? It's kind of trivial. And Snapcaster is just a really useful card to help us pull ahead. Maybe we don't need the Forth Eorlingas as much. And we can just try and win with Planeswalkers. Sure, I can buy that. So we can Prismatic Ending the first thing they play, and then Prismatic Ending something else, and maybe just sneak in a Forth Eorlingas. I don't know, this doesn't feel great, but I think we're going to keep it and try it. A Mox Diamond. Are we going to see a turn 1 Sphere of Resistance? Prismatic Ending gets around Sphere of Resistance very well. Alright, that's a very good thing for us to try and Prismatic Ending. Alright, a Saga. Alright. We could also take the Mox Diamond, but I think the Reclaimer is just a scarier thing right now. Our opponent's on the old Saga beatdown plan. We can answer some of that. Right, so we'll play this out. Next turn we can play Snapcaster Mage, Prismatic Ending something, and have a creature. And depending on what Prismatic Ending, we might be able to put some damage on our opponent the following turn with a Forth Eorlingas. Get the Monarch and maybe defend it. But we'll see what our opponent gets here. If they have a follow-up land. A Mox Diamond, sure. Meltdown looking very tasty if we can find it. There is a Dark Depths. That is a little bit spooky. Not going to lie. Doesn't tap for mana though. Meltdown? Come on. It's never Meltdown. I think we are supposed to play this, crack it for an island, play our Narset as a semi-distraction that can also find us a meltdown. I doubt these constructs are getting large on the next turn. Okay, I'll take stress down. That's the same but different. So we're going to take 4 and lose our Narset. But we have the constructs covered. Oh, that's a real doozy. Yuck. Okay, there is the Urza Saga. Back again. Not going great now. Surgical Extraction. Okay. 1 turn too late, but I guess we'll take it. Paying 2 life here is not the simplest of transactions, is it? Play Jace, bounce this, then where do we get? Not really anywhere. We could play... I think we hit this life from loam now. See what our opponent's working with, and it'll give us more decision space in terms of what we know our opponent's got and how we want to play our turn. Yeah, they have the Horizon Canopy that they have in play in front of us. Oh, they're just crop rotating. Okay, as our opponent missed, they could have just cracked this Horizon Canopy and drawn a life from loam. I think they have. Well, we made a mistake and our opponent made a mistake. So high quality Magic the Gathering right here. Sure. So we can buy back that later when we want to. I don't think playing Jace here really helps. Jace, bounce, but then where are we going? We could Forth Eorlingas for 2, attack for 1, block, let them get the Monarch. I don't really want to start exchanging the Monarch backward and forwards, although, no, let's not get into that. Yeah, this is tough. I just wish we had something better to do. I think this does get us the mountain here. Now we can Forth Eorlingas, attack with 1 guy, get the Monarch, chump block. That doesn't seem great. I think we have to hold this dress down. Force of Negation, okay. All these Urza Sagas, all up in my business. If we had drawn the Surgical Extraction a turn earlier, we could have got rid of all of this, all of the Urza Sagas, and that would have been great. Okay, a Brainstorm. Is this a turn where we just make a Jace? We can make 2 2/2/2s, attack for 2, but then they give this trample with Shadow Spear. I think we need to Brainstorm here. Meltdown. That's a useful one. However, we need to survive. We have the Snapcaster, so we could keep the Meltdown in hand. I kind of like the Force of Negation here. The Batterskull is something we're going to want the life from, isn't it? Prismatic Ending is probably the weakest card here for where we're at right now. And then we have to choose if we want this Meltdown or this Flooded Strand. I guess we Meltdown now, Flooded Strand next turn. Sure. So we can Meltdown to clean these up. That will shrink our opponent's constructs and buy us some time to then Meltdown off of Snapcaster Mage. And they've already used their Bajuka box. They're unlikely to get rid of our Meltdown in our graveyard. So now they make 1/1, untap, make it a 2/2, make it a 3/3, and then we can try and clean up with this Meltdown. If they have the land, they might activate the other Urza Saga in order to get a bigger construct. If we've got something like an Ancient Tomb here. Right, so they're creating a 2/2. Alright. And Mox Diamond. Tabernacle goes away. Sure. There's a Maze of Ith. We don't care about that one. We take 3 here. And then we Meltdown again. And then we just have to deal with the 1 Saga and whatever comes out of it. It's been a funny old game. I floated a green here. What are they doing with their green mana? As we go to second main phase. And then cast our Meltdown. Okay, so they burn off their green mana, so no crop rotation. Alright, they're just scooping up to the second Meltdown. So we played that round in a really weird fashion. So some of the bits... So we made like a mistake here with when we went to Surgical Extract. The previous game, maybe we made a mistake not hitting the Elvish Reclaimer. But the plan that we ended up with worked out okay, and we're 2-0. Yeah, an odd round. Let's sharpen up for round 3. I don't really like our hand. We've got a lot of redundancy. Okay, Island Ponder with some Force of Wills to keep the wolves at bay. We'll keep this, pitch the Batterskull, and it's good old Grindstone Cowboy. I play against him quite often. Sometimes they're playing Painter, sometimes they're not. Do I think I can get away with an island ponder here? I really don't want to get wastelanded. I think we are going to go for the island here. That could be a mistake, because obviously we have white spells here. Any order, shuffle. Okay, another ponder, so we get to live to fight another day. We do have this Force of Will, an Underground Sea. Okay. A Tundra, I don't hate that one for us. Opponent is telegraphing an Orcish Bowmasters here. We do have multiple ways of hammering it down, because we've got Plow and we've got Force of Will. Okay. So I like these lands, also like the Stoneforge. So I think we go for a Stoneforge sandwich here. So I think we go Strand, Stoneforge, Vista. So next turn, if we get wastelanded, then we can just take it. We can not play the Stoneforge, and then wait a turn. All right, green, white, blue, black. Ah, yes, the 5-color decks that most likely have wasteland in as well. The greediest of decks that somehow occasionally wasteland lock my monocolored decks. All right, let's see what our opponent's up to. A ponder. We're not going to be counterspelling this ponder. So, do we want this land underneath more than we want to put a Stoneforge into play? We could put a Teferi into play and start plussing it, and that kind of makes everything better. Sure, I'm down to clown. I think we're going to get a basic island here. We have so many white cards in our hand. We don't want to get wastelanded off of white. Alright, I guess I've talked myself into a plains. I don't know if this is going to resolve. But if it does, it's very good for us. And we can try and force it through. If our opponent's got a force of their own. If they have a force, they'll use on this, because otherwise their force is useless. Alright. Tropical Island. We're going to have another little Ice Fang. Sure. We're plussing our guy anyway. We're not going to counterspell this. Our guy's going to go up to 5. They can tag it down to 3. And they're just going to play this little game of cat and mouse with Teferi's loyalty until we decide to interact. And this stops our opponent from playing anything. Our opponent could be on a Lurin, actually. Teferi is probably quite good against the older Lurin. A Brainstorm. We also know that our counter spells are the last word, because our opponent can't respond to them, because Teferi fundamentally changes the rules of the game. A bit like Narset in some respects as well. So we're playing some high impact cards in our deck here. Alrighty. I guess we +1 our Teferi. Play our land out. Get ourselves a little Stoneforge Mystic here. I think we just get the Kaldra. Pretty good if they're going to have some Death Touchy guys. I don't think we need to Prismatic Ending this one of these Ice Fangs. Right, we've got a counter spell if we need it. It's going to keep coming in our Teferi. That's fine. Another Ice Fang. Kind of annoying. That does change the mass on the Teferi. But we have uncounterable Swords of Plowshares. So what was our opponent on? It does feel like a Lurin to me. Just feel it in my bones. Blue. Black. Orcish Bowmasters. I think this is... is this worth counterspelling? It's 2 bodies. I think we do have to counterspell this one. I think I will Prismatic Ending one of these in the end step, which is the thing we get to do because of Teferi. Smash in our Kaldra Compleat. We get to bash in. So we have a plow. We can fire off the ponder now if we want to and just hold up a plow. That's probably okay. Forth Eorlingas is not where we want to be right now. And we won't be able to bury that with anything we have here. So I guess we do have the Jace, which can kind of keep it at bay. Maybe that's okay. So the Forth Eorlingas on top, then the Jace and the plow. So we have 2 answers available. And we can just stick a Jace. I think that's fine. Should be difficult for our opponent to win through 2 plows. So yeah, you can keep attacking our Teferi. Got another Bowmasters. Orim's Chant. Play one of these guys. This feels like our opponent's about to play a land and then cast a Lurin. And then we're going to lose the game. Absolutely called it. Alright. Do they have a Recruit of the Guard? If they do, then we lose the game. No. Okay. They've got an Uro. We did not, in fact, lose the game. Big fan of not losing the game. So we could Jace here and try and find a land. to have our Swords to Plowshares. That's a very risky line though. So we're going to go for it. Forth Eorlingas. Right, so we did find the land, so we'll put back the island and the Forth Eorlingas. We'll play this. If we have to plow, then we can. Otherwise, we can Forth Eorlingas our opponent for the lethals next turn. I think the upside of the Jace play there was just so high, and if they've got things like Orange Charm, they're just willing to fire off. I think we do have to plow this creature, because if they have a Cavern Harpy, they can just keep drawing a bunch of cards. We just need to interact in some fashion here. Now they might just play an Uro here. Recruit of the Guard. Okay, so they have the combo here. This goes and finds them the another Recruit of the Guard. Or, oh, Ether Channel. Okay, they're doing it a different way. So this can then bounce the Recruit of the Guard. Yeah, and then they can replay the Recruit of the Guard. And they can get a Cavern Harpy, which can then bounce the Ether Channeler. And then get them some more draws with the Recruiter of the Guard. Yeah. And they can pay their life to bounce the Harpy and reset this all over again. So now they play the Recruiter of the Guard. They go and get themselves a Parasitic Strix. And now they have a combo assembled. I will not force our opponent to play through it. I just talked through the thing. So basically, what they're going to do is they're going to play this, drain us for 2. Bounce Cavern Harpy, replay Cavern Harpy, bounce Parasitic Strix, plays Parasitic Strix, and then just keep repeating that loop. And this drains us out for 2 every turn. So, Pyroblast, probably going to be somewhat useful here. Supreme Verdict kind of has some useful text. Yeah, we're not super kitted out for this matchup, are we? So, Soaking Extractions can remove their Uro plan. Lavinia doesn't really help here because they have 4 lands in play. Supreme Verdict, pretty good against their aggro plan. These are things I'm interested in. Now, what am I not interested in? Dress Down can stop their combo for a turn. Flusterstorm can stop an Orange Chant, which I think we probably have to play. Which means they're probably on Flusterstorms over the Red Blasts here. And rely on these things to try and deal with Uros. Wandering Emperor is going to be good. Back to Base is going to be good. Force of Negation, good. Narset stops them from drawing cards. Snapcaster upon, yeah, our deck's just quite well kitted out for this. Do we want? Oh, I don't know what do we want here. Are we like dropping some amount of our package here, and then we get one of these back in if we want it? So probably Batterskull, just like a mid to late game thing, and we're just going full on control-y. Is Forth Eorlingas, is that a better win condition than Stoneforge Mystic? I think it is. I could be wrong though. I think we're going to try it like this. I'm not that familiar with these decks, so I'm going to give it a whirl. Have I just messed up my sideboarding? Was I supposed to play Lavinia here? Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it. Yeah, we were supposed to board those in. Whoops. I thought it was non-creature spell. Which absolutely... oh dear. Embarrassing league, this one so far. Not played with Lavinia before. I was sure it was non-creature. But it's the first clause that's non-creature. Yeah, each opponent can't cast non-creature spells. I thought both clauses were non-creature. So we've made a faux pas there. I guess we keep this hand. We've been off Flooded Strand here. So we have a Force of Will if we need it, but the idea is we're going to get our Narset to stop their cantrips and then grind some value with it. We can always play Teferi, bounce our own Narset to get redraws, but we made things more difficult for ourselves. We had a card that actually stops their combo in its tracks in the form of Lavinia, because they cast their card without paying its mana value when they're creatures. But we've just decided to make things difficult for ourselves. It's like we're in Dragon Ball Z and we've put our training weights on to make things more difficult. So we're going to see a Ponder here, sure. A Force of Negation. Sure, plays planes out. We would like to keep the Prismatic Vista in case we want to get a... I guess our opponent probably doesn't have Wastelands in their deck. So maybe we were supposed to keep the Flooded Strand and get a Jewel. We could get a Volcanic here. But now we have to choose between blue or... Alright, we just drew our Volcanic anyway. Okay. So... Are we just jamming a Narset here? I think that's the bait. And then we can get the Teferi through. I'm not sure how many counter spells our opponent's actually on. They might just be more into trying to get things like Orange Chant on the go. Sure, so they have an Ice Fang. Forth Eorlingas, Flusterstorm. Source to Plowshares. So many great hits. I think we take the Fluster here. It's a blue card to pitch to our Force of Will. It also can counter an orange chant. But if we pitch it to our Force of Will, we still have a Force of Negation to cast. And I don't think we need Plow for this Ice Fang. Sure, so I'm going to attack Narset, so if we want to minus the Narset, it's going to cost us the Narset itself. And that becomes an interesting decision for us. An Orcish Bowmasters. I don't think that's what this game is about right now. So now our Narset doesn't get to draw us another card. Okay. A Prismatic Ending if we want it. If we ending this, that unlocks our draws for later on. And this is probably the best turn for us to do that. Because our opponent can't Orange Charn and Allure in this turn. But next turn they can. So this is the turn we tap a bit lower. And then we use our life total for resource and hopefully grind up some lands. I think our opponent is going to win this matchup. They are much better at playing their deck than I am at playing my deck here. Brainstorm. I don't think we fight over this. I think we have to fight over the payoff card. But that is dangerous in the face of Orange Chant. Underground Sea. Love to find a back to basics. An Uro. Sure. Where is our back to basics of yesteryear? I ask you. A Ponder. I'm happy to ponder here. Let's try and find some. Right, this is in any order in a shuffle, I think. Dress Down. Okay, this is a great card. This allows us to fight a little bit over the Orange Chant and maybe stop things when they start going. We have to be careful. Take some damage here. Okay, our opponent's got enough basics underneath it now. So here is an an Alluring, I suspect. Or it's just going to be the Ure. We can counterspell this or we can just bounce it using the Teferi. I think that's probably worth just bouncing it. We'll lose our Teferi, but it's going to cantrip at least. A Snapcaster. I can't do the thing I want with that. We definitely want blue mana off of our thing, don't we? This land. I don't think our opponent's going to be messing with our mana too much. So I think we want this blue. And we'll jam this guy. Bouncing the Euro, not feeling great about that. But it'll do for now. Alright, so we found a Prismatic Vista. So we're going to lose our Teferi. It bought us a little bit of time and took this Euro out of play for a while. We can Prismatic Ending it if it comes back down. But I think we just take this little hit on the Teferi. Right, attack with both on the Teferi because they thought we might have a removal spell. There's the Euro again, sure. Yeah, the Euro Index is so good. I do like it. Like, it's obviously got weaknesses, but it can just play such a good fair game with things like Euros and stuff. And also just go, oops, you're dead. I think the innovation of Orange Chant is really nice as well. So, we kind of just sat here twiddling our thumbs. We could just play Snapcaster and Prismatic Ending things, but I don't think that's going to get us there. We just need to hold up this wall of interaction and use our life total as a resource. Yep, another Ice Fang. They got so much card advantage in their deck. Just these little 1/1s. And if they have Cavern Harpy, they can cycle it through a few times and just have a nice draw engine. Another Uro, sure. We're kind of saving all of our spells for the combo, but our opponent might just be able to beat us down. It's just kind of the threat of Alluring. Yep, it's only 3 though, so we can take this and carry on with our lives without worrying too much. Our opponent does have a full grip of cards over there. The chances of us winning this game are so low, I would say. We need to clear what our opponent's got now and then sort of hold up. Maybe not having the Stoneforges was an error here. Also, if we had the Lavinians, we can just sort of sit on our laurels and play those. So, what are we doing here? I think we're going to cast Snapcaster Ponder. We can still hold up the Force of Negation if we want it as well. Let's ponder. Forth Eorlingas Surgical Extraction Plateau. Alrighty then. And our opponent's draw step, we will remove their arrows from the game. And we also get to see what our opponent's working with then. Oh, no, we don't get to do that in the draw step because we don't have the stop on the draw, do we? Okay. Let's just hit this. Pay 2 life. Say no to arrows. We also get to see what our opponent's got in their hands so we can work out how we need to play this game. Yeah, so they got 4 Allurings in their deck. Their hand is quite a lot of the old gas over there, isn't it? Yikes. We can trade this off. Ether Channeler. Is this going to make a bird? No, it's just going to draw a card. Sure. But they can Cavern Harpy and just go to town. Cavern Harpy doesn't have flash on its own, though. There is the Cavern Harpy. So we could dress down right now. I don't think that's good enough. We could Force of Will this. Oh, jeez. I think we Force of Will this pitching Flusterstorm. I think Flusterstorm's had its day. I'm going to play the Recruiter here. Or not. We do need to save our mana here, which is problematic. So if we play this Forth Eorlingas, we need to save at least 2 mana for the dress down. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But they can put up the dress down with the Assassin's Trophy. So maybe we just need to save just the Force of Negation. But if they have the Orange Chant, yeah, I think we just have to hope our opponent doesn't draw a lure in here. That's how we're going to try and win this game. This is not really how I wanted this game to go. They can't kick an Orange Chant right now. So then we go to attacks here. We know they've got 2 pieces of removal, so we need to send 4 guys in over here to guarantee we get the Monarch. And then we're just going to try and throw the Monarch back and forth between us. Now we get to trample over as well. Alright, the Monarch, do some work. Teferi is nice to have. Yeah, they're going to get the Monarch here though. And that's going to be annoying for us for sure. But given the state of this game, I don't think we have a choice. So we can counterspell that Orange Chant that I'm expecting them to fire off to stop us being able to. Right, so do get to Recruiter now. I expect them to Orange Chant us so that we can't attack. But they've tapped their white source. That's not going to happen now. A Cavern Harpy. Sure. So they're just going to continue drawing extra cards here. Yep. Now we are running low on life points as well here. So kind of stuck on a numerous metrics in this game. Our opponent's got more cards. They've got a combo they're threatening. They've got the Monarch. They've got a bunch of creatures. This is not where we want to be. So they're representing 2 removal spells. Then we play out our land here. We just want loads of mana to work with here. So if we go attacks, they have 2 removal spells. So if we attack with 3 guys, if they kill 2 of them, they have to multi-block. I think we do have to block with everything here, as much as I hate that. An Orange Chant, sure. So this is the one we have to counterspell here. Right, so we have the Monarch now. We have to make a really ugly play here of playing our Teferi Time Raveler and bouncing something so that we can stay alive. So we bounce that 2 power guy here. They'll pay 1 life so we don't draw a card here. Yeah. But we have to do that so we don't die to damage on the board. Okay, have Swords to Plowshares. That can be an interesting... okay, so our opponent's going to attack us for 3. We can't really do anything about that. Alright. Yeah, get some Monarch over there. So we're trying to draw into Forth Eorlingas here. Which means we're probably supposed to play the dress down in response to this. Yeah. Because we want our creatures to have haste next turn. Now, they can Assassin's Trophy this. But we want to draw the card. They can't Assassin's Trophy it before the... we got Teferi in place. They can't Assassin's Trophy it before the Recruiter resolves. Yeah, so they're just saying that that's what's happening. So we get a card. We get to stop this Recruiter trigger. And we're just trying to find Forth Eorlingas here to try and win this game. But I think our opponent has played this round better than us. And they deserve to win. We're getting an Assassin's Trophy here. I'll thin out our deck slightly. If we still have anything that can find. Alright, sure. Makes our Forth Eorlingas bigger. A Cavern Harpy. Yep. Sad but true. Bounce one of their little guys. We'll replay this whole song and dance again. And we'll probably lose on their next turn anyway. A Bowmasters of our own would have been great, but we're not that sort of deck today. Alright. What do we have? They got an Orange Chant, because that won't work without Teferi in play. Alright. Forth Eorlingas, please. It's game if we find it. A Brainstorm. Alright. Let's have a little look-sees. If we get a Narset, we can make 1, 2, 3 2/2s. So we'll have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12 of trample damage. And they can block 3 of it. So that'll be exactly enough to keep themselves alive. But if we have the Plateau that we haven't played yet, that's the exact 1 point we need. So I think we're putting back the Brainstorm and the Surgical Extraction. Or is it the Plow? No, it's the Plow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, there's no way we can survive here. So we put back the Plow and the Surgical. And then we clear the top with Narset. That only gives us 2 fresh looks is the problem. 1, 2, 3. There's not a Forth Eorlingas, is it? We can 2, 4, 6, 8 damage. Okay. Take a Plow. Then we fire off this Brainstorm. A Dress Down. Our opponent has another Assassin's Trophy is the problem. But if they go to attack with everything, they can't dress it down in time. So this does help us. Can we keep this Scalding Tarn around? I don't think so. I think we have to go this and then is this the Plateau? Or do you need to keep that landing around for next turn? If we put the Plow on top, we at least get to draw the Plow with the Dress Down anyway. Alright, so our opponent's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 creatures, and we have got 4 blockers. So we can do this. Play our land, and we'll pass a turn. We have to let them have the Monarch here, as horrible as that is. Jeez. Really paint ourselves into a corner with the old Monarch here. But once our opponent goes to attacks, they don't get to cast any more spells because of our Teferi. So we kind of have priority on everything. An Orim's Chant. What a horrible thing to do to us. Tap our mana correctly here. And blue here. Now we know they have the Assassin's Trophy. So we can block, 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 block. But if they blow this up with the Assassin's Trophy we know about, all of these come through in the sky. So we have to try and plow one of these guys. And then we plow one of these guys. And then we should be able to survive for a turn. And then we just try and draw Forth Eorlingas. Now if our opponent's got the Allurin, they just win the game. Anyway, they might just be probing the waters with this Orim's Chant. They've drawn a lot of cards, partly due to us helping them draw lots of cards, but most of their stuff cantrips, like Recruiters, Ice Fangs, etc. Channeler, Uro. They got the Allurin here, so they're getting rid of our Narset here. They don't want us to find the answer. We don't have any other ones here, do we? No. So we've got 2 Forth Eorlingas that we're looking to draw. Same as before. There is a Brainstorm. If they find an Allurin, we might not lose a game now because they use their Assassin's Trophy on our Narset. So we don't know if they have this Plow anymore. Misty Rainforest. If they plow our creature, it does gain us life, so it's not the end of the world. Another Brainstorm. Sure. If we do win this one, we're going to have very little time to try and win the 3rd game. Ponder. They are really digging for that Allurin. Or something else that can win them the game here. There's probably multiple things here that can win them the game. But they need to get rid of the Dress Down in order to do that, because we can absorb all their creatures this turn. Just need to draw a Forth Eorlingas. Allurin. Okay, so they can win in our upkeep when the Dress Down goes away. They can do it now if they want to, when we have no cards in hand. If they have the Cavern Harpy. Okay, we've drawn a counterspell, which doesn't do what we need it to do here. So we have to plus this. They've got some amount of blockers here. We need to get the Monarch so that we can try and draw a card that helps us out here. So if we attack with... So they've got 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have to send 3 in. Yuck. Alright, we send 3 in. They do have Allurins. They can do all sorts of nonsense here. But we did get rid of the last Cavern Harpy. Sure, so trading the Recruiters here. That's fine by me. Alright, so we have the Monarch. We have a Force of Will. And maybe we'll draw a Supreme Verdict. Or Swords to Plowshares. That does it. That keeps us alive for one more turn. What a ridiculous game. No to Parasitic Strix. We take 1 and go to 1. This does give them the Monarch. Again. And that might be the only Parasitic Strix in their deck. So I have to try and win fairly here. I think we let the Brainstorm go. We need to counterspell something scary. Not that there's that much scary stuff left in their deck. They haven't got that many cards left in their deck either. Recruiter of the Guard. Do we counterspell this? I think so. This is 2 bodies, basically, and we can't let them have 2 bodies. Especially when one of them will probably be with flying. Okay, we don't have a lot of time left. So we need to try and find a win here. A Flusterstorm. I don't like this very much. Guess we bounce the Allurin. We just need to get more cards so that we have more chance at being able to cast something that keeps us alive. This does give our opponent the ability to make some flashy guys, but this gives us... I don't really want to play this Prismatic Vista out for obvious reasons. If we draw a Brainstorm, it's another card that we get to shuffle back into our deck. Okay, is being the pretty princess going to be good enough here? No is the answer to that one. Alright, we took a long time there. Our opponent did play better than us. We had a few little missteps here and there, and I think we sideboarded wrong as well by not bringing the Lavinias. But this is a learning curve for me. I've not really played Jeskai Stoneblade. I've never cast a Lavinia before that I can recall. So, alright, let's go to round 4. I think we'll keep this. We have a little bit of early interaction with Ponder and Force of Will. We got some reasonable mid to late game stuff, and we've also got an aggressive element in our Stoneforge Mystic. So we kind of got a little slice of everything. Our opponent's mulligan to 5. I'm pretty happy to have a Force of Will now. This means we can Force of Will and still be up on our opponent in cards. And decks that tend to mulligan a lot more tend to be more on the combo side. Swamp. Oh dear. Thoughtseize. Oh dear. What flavour of Thoughtseize deck are we? Could be Black Saga Storm. Could just be... could be the Witherbloom Apprentice combo as well. That's been seen a lot more play. They took the Stoneforge. Alright. That suggests to me that our opponent is here for a long time. Or at least they want to be, rather than trying to just bap us off quick. This will get us a basic island. This will also get us a basic island. Do we think our opponent has wastelands? Maybe. I think we'll play this out. And then we can... Oh, we're supposed to do this now, aren't we? So we have a choice. We can fetch around Opposition Agent right now, which I think is worth doing. The other option is to get a land, is to wait and maybe have a land so we can Brainstorm or we can Plow, but I think just fetching around Opposition Agent because we have only another fetch land in hand is just more important to protect ourselves with. Like in theory, if the game goes long enough, our deck should win. That's what we signed up for. Badlands. Okay, that suggests Reanimator. That's a different kettle of fish there. So we can play out our Prismatic Vista. We don't need to Brainstorm yet. We can do it in our opponent's turn. We have a better idea of what we're looking to have in play and what we're looking to shuffle back into our library. A Grief. Interesting. I think we will cast a Brainstorm. There's a lot of stuff there. A lot of stuff. So we're going to bury this Plow on top. And I kind of want to shuffle these as well. But I guess we have a fetch land for that if we want to. So we'll protect the Plow. I think we want counter magic here to make sure nothing goes too sketchy for us. We're putting back the Wandering Emperor. Oh, okay. They didn't want us to resolve this Brainstorm. Alright. I'm going to assume they're red-black reanimated. So we want Containment Priest. We want Rest in Peace. We want 2 Surgical Extractions. And Lavinia stops Grief. And it stops them Dark Ritualing into some stuff sometimes. And it can stop Lotus Petals. Is this good enough? I'm not convinced this is good enough for this matchup. We could have Pyroblasts in case they're going on to Show and Tell. I don't think this is a back to basics matchup. That can go. Some of our other stuff is a bit slow here. So Wandering Emperor is pretty reasonable here. Teferi can bounce something scary out of play. Dress Down definitely has uses. It's really hard to start with this deck because we've just got so many good cards in it. Jace is pretty slow, but if we start facing our opponent, that's going to be really potent. Narset stops Grizzlebrand. I guess we're just like trimming some stuff like Stoneforge, Forth Eorlingas. Maybe we trim a Ponder. We have Island Ponder. We have a Surgical Extraction. I guess we keep this. We also have the Containment Priest if we can find a second land. Our opponent kept 7, so they should be able to absolutely dumpster us, but maybe not. So they're not going to mess with our mana base here. So we're going to go and get a Tundra. They sometimes run Mages of the Moon, but they're not going to run it in this matchup. Unless I've misunderstood what deck our opponent's playing and they're not actually on Reanimator. Okay, we'll bury the Forth Eorlingas, the Flooded Strand, and then put the island on top and draw it. And then we can draw the Flooded Strand next turn and deploy it. And that'll give us access to red if we want it. And we could maybe do something with Forth Eorlingas soon, but I think we just want to get our Containment Priest into play as soon as possible. I think it's going to be an end of turn Entomb. It is. Which is good news for us, because it means our Surge Extraction is actually going to work. Do we think our opponent's playing Shallow Grave? Is the question. I don't think so. Exhume. Let's get rid of this Grizzlebrand. Let's see what our opponent's... Grizzlebrand, and they got some other stuff in play there. Alright, let's have a look. So we got a Wear Tear. Another, we got Atraxa, Wear Tear. Why does it put the Wear Tear twice? Sure, so we got Wear Tear, Archon of Cruelty, Atraxa, Animate Dead. Those are things we can beat. So I think we'll get a Volcanic Island here. Or no, on a Plateau. So we've got a blue source, so we'll have double blue that way. And we could play this Stoneforge Mystic if we think this is a turn where we can take it off and our opponent can't assemble anything. But if they draw a Faith is Looting, we could get a bit punished for that. So I'm just going to hold up this Containment Priest and chuck it in end step. Right, so drew a Lotus Petal. Let's flash in the Containment Priest. Did you board in answers for Containment Priest, opponent? Or are you on trying to get griefs for beatdown? I would like to draw double cards, I think. So red, white, and this. X is 1. Let's just bash our opponent up. We know all the cards in our hand, and that's not going to hurt us. This is a slower clock than just playing out the Stoneforge, but drawing additional cards so that we can have layers of counter magic and things up for our opponents. Alright, our opponents had enough. So that was a quick match, thankfully. This has been quite a long recording already, so I appreciate that one. But yeah, it felt like we had all the right tools for this sort of matchup. So yeah, let's go to round 5. We are 3-1. I think we only lost to Allurin so far. Let's go to the final round. We're on the play. I don't like this one very much. I think we can mulligan for something better. Yeah, I like this one. We'll keep this. And get rid of this Batterskull. We can start out with an island off of our Scalding Tarn, I believe. And we can ponder. So, what are we pondering towards is the question. So, we kind of just want to make sure that we've got some land drops down the line. Forth Eorlingas. Not so sold on that one. I like having the Force here, though. I think we'll put the Forth Eorlingas, Flooded Strand, and the Force of Will. And draw the Force of Will, so we've just got an extra layer of protection. We have double Force of Will. Well, we have Force of Will, Force of Negation, depending on what they're trying to cast. If our opponent is a 61 card deck, there's a possibility to oops all spells. So we need to... Once upon a time. Okay. So usually a 61 card deck is a deck that wants to have the marginal percentage difference of having one extra card in it in exchange for having a really important silver bullet that it can tutor for. Alright. Cloud Post. Okay. The clock is on, I guess. Our hand doesn't do the most against Cloud Post. Okay. We're now looking for ways of winning the game. We got a whole bunch of them here. Teferi is not going to be that useful here. I don't think we necessarily need the Teferi. And do we need all of these Force of Wills? Probably not. And we can play... If we want the Force of Will, we can keep it. Still play as Flooded Strand. So our opponent's going to be casting Uncountable Eldrazi at some point. We need to try and make sure the game's over before then. Back to basics can help us do that. Do you want this Force of Will? Speak now or forever hold your peace. I'm going to take the Force of Will. And then I'm going to play Forth Eorlingas. So our opponent's not going to mess with our mana base here. So we can get a Plains and then a Volcanic Island. Or do you want a mountain? Maybe we wanted a mountain off of this one and then a Plains off of this one. For back to basics. But alright, our plan here is simple. Get the Monarch. Hold the Monarch. Have enough disruption that we can win the game. And one Forth Eorlingas should hopefully draw us into another one down the line. Alright. A Teferi, not at its best here, but we do have double Force of Wills here. And then we can hopefully play a Jace the Mind Sculptor. Tabernacle. I think we have to pay for our creature because we're not going to be able to... Well, if we get the Jace, then we don't need to do that. It depends if we think we're drawing a land or not. A Pithing Needle. Sure. What is it going to name? Wasteland, just because they kind of have to, in case we have it. Narset Pirate Veils. Sure. Are we going in on this Jace or on this human token? It's one human token. I don't think we can rely on this. Then we're just going to draw a land. It's going to be great. We did not draw a land. Oakley dokley. I think we are playing this so we can try and draw a land. Do I want to bounce this Pithing Needle? Not really. I think we're just going to draw a card here. Right, so we found the land for next turn. And then we're just going to race with Jace. Hopefully. Receiver coming in tapped. It's getting a bit scary over there. A ticking clock. Right, so I think we're just playing Jace here. I'm going to start fate-sealing our opponent. I would like to put that on the bottom, I think. Keep them away from cloud posts. Still have double Force of Will up here. And now we can play Forth Eorlingas and try and get our opponent on two metrics. 1, 2, 3. 3, 6, 7. So not quite enough. Stoneforge Mystic. Is that better than Forth Eorlingas here? I think it is. So we play this. We fate seal our opponent here. A Green Sun Zenith. They don't have a forest in play right now, and we can count a Green Sun Zenith. So we're going to leave this on top. And we're going to deploy this Stoneforge Mystic. Get ourselves a Kaldra. It's the fastest clock. We just need to race here. And sure. We can ponder off of our Snapcaster. Alright, so they are getting an Eldrazi here. So this is 6, 7, 8, 9 mana they're representing. So they can get an Ulamog. And then 1 more mana and they get to cast it. Now we know the top card of their library has been shuffled away, so they're going to get a free draw instead. Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. Yep. This is not an uncounterable Eldrazi though. So we have that going for us. But they do get to exile 2 of our permanents. There's the Yavimaya. So now they get to play the Ulamog with mana left over. Ulamog. What are the 2 permanents they would like to exile here? Jace the Mind Sculptor and Teferi. Sure. Okay, so now pivoting back onto this, onto the. Oh, we're going to cast this for 1 life. Yeah, so now we're pivoting back onto the combat damage plan. Expedition map, I guess. Let's put this in. Let this die. Right, so 2, 4, 6. So there's a 2-turn clock if we make it right now. Red, white. Right, so we bash our opponent down to 9. We can survive an Emrakul hit here, but they will have multiple Emrakuls because you just get to bounce it with Karakas or whatever. We're close. I think we've done the best we can. Our opponent can't tutor for an Eldrazi and cast its turn, so they have to have one in hand. We do have a Force of Will to protect. What is this? Cracking the Expedition map. Sure. Cavern of Souls. Yep, that's pretty annoying. That's Primeval Titan here. Just so we can gain him a whole bunch of life. We can't do much about it. Not seen that art before. So our opponent's going to get 2 lands into the battlefield. So we're looking at... They could get Glimmer Post just to gain a load of life. But that does expose them to some more Forth Eorlingas type stuff. Glacial Chasm. So we don't have an answer for Glacial Chasm in our deck. So this is the problem. Maybe we should have countered the Expedition map. But then we wouldn't have had the counter for the Primal Titan. That didn't work anyway. A Ramunap Excavator. Is this worth counterspelling? I think so. I say no to this. So we got some decisions to make here. Glacial Chasm is going to get us pretty hard. Are we brainstorming now? Just so we've got more of an idea what we're doing with our turn. Is that where I want to be? The Wandering Emperor. Doesn't massively help us here, does it? Okay, I guess we put back the Tarn and the Snapcaster Mage. So we want this Plow. And do we want Snapcaster Mage for anything? Probably not. So I think we're going to pay for our guys. We don't have to pay for the gem because it's indestructible. So if we plow this, they gain 6 life. And we can't attack anyway because of the Glacial Chasm. So I guess we go to a draw step here. And we should have stacked them the other way so we get the land first, actually. That's a bit of a faux pas. So how much mana do they have here? Where's our Bone Crusher Giant when we need it? Are they letting their Glacial Chasm live or die? They're making it live. Okay. Sensible. Post. So what they're going to do is they're going to tutor for an Emrakul, and the next turn they're going to cast the Emrakul. Unless they can... I don't think they can cast it this turn. But yeah, so tutor for Emrakul, then they cast Emrakul, and then we have a real bad time. We lose 6 of our permanents and take lethal damage. That's not really what we want, is it? Let's pay. And again. And again. So this is definitely one of the matchups where us being a deck that wants it to go long is detrimental because they are much better in the long run. What does Teferi do for us? Not astronomical amounts of things. So they're going to get an Emrakul this turn. They're going to play Emrakul. They're going to annihilate us to death. So they got 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, our opponent should have this. No, that's fine. They're going to get the Emrakul. It's late in the day. I'm okay doing this. Okay. We want Stony Silence and Containment Priest. Containment Priest stops Green Sun Zenith. Stony Silence stops their expedition maps and things. Aside from that, what do we have going on? Meltdown potentially for Pithing Needles is playable, but we already have Prismatic Endings, which is cheaper in one go for it. Supreme Verdict can kill the big boy, and we can do it instant speed with Teferi. 3 cards. Is Jace too slow here? Possibly. To be aggressive. Is the Wandering Emperor too slow? It does kill Emrakul, but only after they get an Annihilator trigger. Maybe that's no good. We probably shave a Pithing Needle, Prismatic Ending here. Alright, I think our opponent is heavily favoured in this matchup, to be honest. We cannot keep this hand. Let's mulligan. Okay, we can ponder into Stoneforge Mystic or Stony Silence. That seems fine. I think we probably... I don't even know if we sling back this Forth Eorlingas. I think it's good enough to keep here. It means we're probably getting rid of the Brainstorm. Worry about that later. So I think we have to be the aggro here. Force of Will, we don't really want now. I don't mind one of these lands. Do I want 2 of these lands though? I mean, we'll get 2 of them. I think we do want 2 of them. I think the plan here is Stoneforge Mystic, try and clock them as quickly as possible. A Boseiju and no follow-up play. Okay. Don't hear that. Here's the other land. I think we'll go and get ourselves an plains here for our Stoneforge. We kind of want to play on basics for when we put our back to basics into play if we can draw it. If they have a Pithing Needle here, they might name Stoneforge Mystic. But they might have trimmed on Pithing Needles because they don't have as many good targets. They're mainly there to protect them from wastelands, and we didn't show them any wastelands. They're going to crop rotate there. They thought about it, decided against it. To bash for 5 next turn, and then the turn after we can bash for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then our opponent's dead on the turn after. Right, let's put in the big boy. Let's go attacks. Dismember. It is a dismember. Alright, so if we attack for 5 next turn, that's not going to be a good enough clock. If we wait 1 more turn, we attack for 7 instead of 5. No, I think we do just jam the Forth Eorlingas unless we find something that we really need next turn. So our opponent has another cloud post there. An expedition map that they can pop immediately. There's no point playing the Stony Silence here because they'll just pop their expedition map in response. Force of Will. Right. We are doing the thing that we came here to do, I guess. Let's cast Forth Eorlingas and hope it gets there. Yeah, we just don't have the pressure to make a match like this work. Oh, playing decks without Wasteland feels bad unless you're a combo deck. Really, like, obviously, you know, the deck we're playing is good, but I just either want to play a deck that wins you before you care about Wastelands or can deal with Wastelands, or be the Wasteland deck. Be the Wastelands you want to see in the world. Okay, that's actually a great draw for us. Carpet of Flowers. Yep. That's 3 mana for our opponent. We don't quite have enough damage to win the game next turn, which is really frustrating. I think we're 1 damage shy. It's going to be Primal Titan. Feels like it might be. Green Sun Zenith. We don't have a blue spell to go with our Force of Will, so here's a Primal Titan. So, how do they feel? Alright. They've got a Cloud Post and an Eye off that. So Cloud Post are tapping for 4 each. So 4, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I think it's 20 mana total is what they need to play the Emrakul. So, what is our plan here? I guess we can just leave this as is. So we can put a Stony Silence into play. Or we can jam a Forth Eorlingas and just try and go wide and hope that... Problem is they can attack next turn with their Primal Titan and then we're just dead. Yeah, they've just got us coming and going on every angle here. So I guess we need to keep mana open to try and plow this. So that means we're playing the Stony Silence this turn. Shuts off our ability to re-equip this Kaldra, but we're a little ways from that anyway. And now we hold up our Force of Negation. But we're hoping to draw a plow here. We did not draw a plow. Okay, so our opponent should be able to kill us now. Because they attack with their Primal Titan, gain some more Cloud Posts out of their deck, and then they have enough mana to play to find Emrakul and cast it. And they're on quite a healthy life total, so I don't think it's going to matter what we do here. Yep, so there's a Glimmer Post and the Caracas. Okay, yeah. So they've got infinite turns here as well, right? So this is 5, 10, 15, 16, 17. Wait, no, that's... Oh, and then they got the mana from the carpet, yeah. So they have enough to play Emrakul, Annihilator us, bounce it, replay it, and just do this ad infinitum. So we'll just let them find the Emrakul here, and then we're done. Emrakul cannot be countered either, because that's what Emrakul says, I believe. 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. No, wait, they're one short. Unless I've made a mistake here. I could get an Ulamog, which is less of an issue for us. That's 19 mana. That's 1 shy. Oh, have they got... Oh no, okay, they're tapping their Ivugin. So Emrakul currently costs 13 due to Ivugin. And they only have 12 mana in their pool. Ulamog. Okay. You can probably beat Ulamog. Who am I kidding? We can't beat Ulamog. Alright, what permanents would you like to destroy? Stony Silence maybe, just so you can get that expedition map going. Let's say no to that. Can only deal 11 damage. 13 if we draw a land. Sure, now they can expedition map, so next turn they can do the full... Oh, they got Beseiju. Containment Priest doesn't help here. I don't know how we're supposed to win this game, truth be told. I guess we could draw a plow here. That's probably step 1, isn't it? Don't think we can Forth Eorlingas here. We can put in a Containment Priest so we can soak up all the Primal Titan damage. We could Teferi and bounce Primal Titan so it doesn't get to attack us. That's probably worth doing. Blue, white, and this one. This means they have to spend the mana on casting it instead of just getting it. Narset's not really the one here. We're trying to draw into... I guess if we'd have thought what we were doing, we could have attacked with more Primal Titan, with more Knights then. We've wasted 3 points of damage there. Yeah, I'm just playing this one a bit sloppy. I've kind of resigned myself to defeat here. It just feels insurmountable. But that's no excuse really, is it? 5, 6, 7 mana. 15, 16, 17. Yeah, so they have 20 mana now. So they just tutor for Emrakul and cast it. Yep, so they play this, and then they get to Annihilator us. And then they bounce it and replay it. And they do that every turn until we die. Which would not take very long. Yeah, so our little misplay at the end there, like I said, we were already resigned to dying. And we did. Alright, so we finished with a 3-2 in the end. So let's talk about the deck. This is not my sort of deck. But I can certainly see the attraction to it. Like having a lot of nice answers and things. I think I would rather be on the Bant side if I was playing a control deck. Because I think whilst Forth Eorlingas is good, Uro is just amazing as a card. And allows you to play Life from the Loam, Wasteland in your deck. And Wasteland, Life from the Loam would have been good in both of the matchups we lost. The Allura deck has 4 colours. Sometimes 5, but generally 4 colours. So being able to hit all their jewels with that can really slow them down because they're trying to cast a 4-drop. And obviously Cloudpost doesn't like having all its lands wastelanded. So, back to this deck though. It felt fine. I think the proactive play of Stoneforge Mystic is fine. I don't think it's amazing, but I don't think it's terrible either. It definitely has its place, but sometimes can feel a little bit out of sorts. I will say sideboarding with this deck feels kind of difficult because quite often a lot of our tools are good. Now, it does depend on the matchups you play. Like Alluring, so what you would normally do is you would have removal matchups and counterspell matchups. That's kind of how control decks tend to play. But Alluring is both, and the Cloudpost deck kind of is both because we need to get rid of things like Reclaimer and Ulamog sometimes, and also Primeval Titan. So we do need to have that, but we also need counterspells for things like Green Sun Zenith or whatever. So a bit tricky, and those are the matchups where we came undone. So I can definitely see how a more experienced pilot of this deck would probably get a lot more percentage out. And they'd probably play a lot tighter than me as well. We did kind of hamstring ourselves by not bringing the Lavinia against the Alluring deck, because I assumed the second clause on it was non-creature. I thought they were both non-creature things. But I had made a mistake, and that cost us. I think I might have even spoken about it hitting grief at one point as well. I think that was in the round afterwards, though. But, yes, this deck seems perfectly fine to me. I kind of wanted more back to basics, right? More ways of disrupting our opponent's mana would have been really helpful. I would have even been down for something like Ruination in the sideboard. I think that would have been really helpful. I'm not necessarily convinced this deck needs a Plateau. I think it could probably have another basic instead of the Plateau. But I can see why it's in the deck still. But we don't have that much in the way of red sources we're playing to. In a lot of the matchups where you're going to want to fetch red, you're going to want to fetch the mountain, because you're playing against decks with like Murktide Regent in that you want to be Pyroblasting, and they have Wastelands in. I guess against something like 8-cast, where you want the Meltdowns, or against some of the Storm decks where you might want Meltdown, then you probably don't want to play the Plateaus. I mean, don't want to fetch the mountain and just want the Plateau instead. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of play to this, and we certainly didn't experience all of that. I did like that game where we beat the lands player. That felt quite good, how we used our Lifetail as a resource and got down. But I don't really have any comments about what I would want to change with this deck. It's not really, like I said, it's not explicitly my sort of deck. I think the only thing I really miss that would be an easy thing to include would be more ways of disrupting opponents' mana bases, because that felt like what was liable to beat us a lot of the time. Like, we very nearly lost to Urza Saga on a couple of occasions there. So we needed to have maybe something a bit more to deal with that. But yeah, this deck seems fine. I think you could take it in a more controlling route by getting rid of the Stoneforge package and just have, you know, maybe Shark Typhoons and stuff like that. You go into Staff of the Storyteller as well, but then you probably want to be including some sagas of your own, perhaps. And then it becomes a bit of a different deck. And I'm basically just saying, why don't you play Shark Tail here instead? But yeah, the Stoneforge is fine. Doesn't get pinged off by Bowmasters. Gives you a nice threat that can win the game. Batterskull can help you stabilize in some matchups. It's very castable in this deck as well. It's just a deck full of good cards, right? Just a bunch of good cards and mana to cast them. And it's kind of got a theme. I do think the Stoneforge is an odd one at times. Like, our win conditions are very light here, right? We can win off of Wandering Emperor and Jace as well. We don't have a lot of win conditions, but Forth Eorlingas is one that just can power out like a massive win when you need it, because you just, you know, X could be like 7 if you wanted to, and just absolutely smash people to pieces, depending on how many lands you got at a time. Yeah, I think I'm done chatting about this one. It's not something I have enough experience with this archetype to really comment on, beyond what I already have. All right, thank you very much for watching. I'm also incredibly tired today. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, so let's go to bed. Like and subscribe. I stay up late making you content. Why not help me out with some likes and subscribes, and maybe visit my Patreon if you'd like. All right, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye. Good night.